What's good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down why NIO does have some potential to push up a little bit higher if we get some very nice breaks above these resistance zones. I'm going to break down how the market could actually help NIO pump, what news is coming out for the week, and how this may affect NIO. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, guys, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO share, a free Tesla share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 1 week, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at NIO, as of right now, we do have a potential inverse head and shoulders like formation that formed right here. I think if I pull up the 5-minute chart, it's going to be easier to see. And this is because the market did get a nice bounce, and we did see the market try to pump just a bit. So this is what this possible inverse head and shoulders would be looking like. It's a little bit easier to see if I make the chart look like this. And this is a sign that NIO might continue to actually push to the upside. Now, I want to note that on the 1 hour time frame, NIO is also fighting the 250 EMAs right here. They're very close. They are acting as resistance, but if NIO breaks above these, 11.34 could come pretty fast. Break above that, then 11.8 is possible to get that gap fill. But I want to talk about why there's an increased probability of NIO filling the gap first before another potential rejection. And that's because of the overall market. So right now, we have some earnings coming out. We have Verizon and Microsoft, AT&T, Tesla, IBM, a bunch of big ones, specifically between Tuesday and Thursday. For tomorrow, there's not really too much coming out. Some bank data and just things like that. It's not as huge. But remember, Tuesday to Thursday is going to be big for earnings. And then Thursday to Friday is going to be bigger for economic data as we have jobless claims and also PCE coming out. As far as NIO goes, we are getting below average volume, so it is weakening a little bit, but we did manage to push green on lower volumes. That's still a pretty decent sign. That is a positive outlook compared to before. On top of that, the price, the price versus short volume percentage is starting to drop a bit, meaning that as of right now, the people that went long had the edge over the stock, at least for the short term. So hopefully it remains like this, because this could actually give NIO a bit of an edge when going into the upcoming week. As far as news goes, I'm not seeing any major news headlines, nothing like that. So that's a pretty decent sign. If bad news comes out, NIO could dump. You always have to remember that. But as of right now, I'm not seeing any major bad piece of news. And right now, the short interest is relatively low, so it's not getting shorted as hard as it was before. So it's pretty decent to see. I also want to note the fact that NIO also has a tendency right here of being green about 49% of the time on Mondays, 55% of the time on Tuesdays. So by Tuesday, I do anticipate a better day, or at least it's more likely depending on the data and how the market performs. And NIO's relative strength has been picking up a bit. So if it does continue to push up, that looks like what NIO wants. It wants to push up more if the market allows it, and I think the market might allow it for some time. SPY does not have a crazy options chain until mid-February and then mid-March. So that means we may not get as much of a crazy move again on SPY like this, but I do believe the market could continue to push, because on SPY, you will notice on the daily, this thing looks like it wants to push up at least a little bit more. If you look at the overall setup, we got a really nice bounce. We actually broke below the 200 EMA on the daily. It looks to me like, excuse me, it looks to me like we're going to try to go for this trend line again. We might see SPY hit 398, 399 again, maybe even 400. It might try to push up one last time and maybe get another rejection off that, but it looks like it has more room to push up. And then I wanted to note that on the NASDAQ and the QQQ, we haven't necessarily, I don't think the NASDAQ fully filled its gap yet. See the gap that formed like right here? I don't think we fully filled this. Let me actually use this on the 1 hour time frame. Now, even though we do have a bearish divergence that's potentially forming, I don't believe that we completely filled this gap. It's all the way over here. Could this be the right one? Oh no, the one like way up here. This one up here. See, we still have more room to go. So we could see the NASDAQ continue to pump and try to finish with the gap fill. I do believe we have a little bit more room up here. We could actually pump a little bit more. And I do think the NASDAQ is going to outperform SPY. So now tech is going to be on top. And you could also see this in the QQQ. On the triple Q, notice something. We had the gap. Where is it? We had the gap, I think, around 285 somewhere. Let me zoom in and show you guys exactly where it was. The gap is around 285. That's correct. The 285s. We peaked. Remember when the QQQ peaked a couple of days ago? Our peak was around 284.69. So we failed to fill the gap around 285. But now we're pushing up pretty hard. We actually hit almost 283. It looks to me like this thing is going to go for that gap fill the gap, and 285, and then we get that big rejection very close to that, because I think lots of short sellers are going to try to pounce on it once it gets to those high numbers. I'm saying this because the NASDAQ is likely to pump. And when you look at NIO compared to the QQQ, check this out. Look at this. There's a very strong correlation between them. The QQQ tends to be dominated by Apple and Tesla. I'm saying this because when the QQQ tends to pop really hard, NIO tends to pop with it. When it goes down, we tend to see very similar price fluctuations. NIO, the only time there was like this big divergence was like between the months of like June. That was because NIO started pumping hard because of the fact that China was reopening, and NIO had very good numbers during that time. It started to actually outperform QQQ temporarily. And then also, we did very well around the September period where NIO got a nice pump, some nice numbers, and then NIO started dumping with it. It was just a little bit higher. But then besides that, excuse me, sorry guys. Besides that, if you look at like November going into now, they look almost identical. So I do believe QQQ might pump a little bit. Maybe NIO pumps a little bit with it before we get another big rejection. This tells me that NIO might see some green temporarily for maybe part of Monday and then Tuesday as well. And I think that my prediction is NIO might try to go for this 200 EMA beat on the 1 hour time frame. We might break it, then hit 11.34. Break above that, and this thing might actually close very close to 11.5. And if the market has one more green day for Tuesday, maybe just hypothetically, maybe we have one last pump before we get a big rejection, NIO could go for this gap fill by Tuesday, in my opinion. We could see NIO retest 11.8 during the peak. It could even happen as soon as Monday. I mean, it's very hard to predict exactly when, but soon I do believe it's possible. Just like the QQQ, just like how the QQQ failed to fill its gap, like right here, NIO failed to fill its gap. NIO came down. Maybe NIO is going to get a big pump. It also depends on the news. I don't know for sure what the news will say, or if there even will be a big catalyst from the news. I'm just hypothetically speaking, but I'm just saying from a technical standpoint, it looks like NIO is going to try to get a nice gap fill very soon over the next couple of days. And I think for tomorrow, NIO should get a close above 11.34 at the very least, maybe close to 11.5, hopefully. That's what I'm predicting, guys. I'm a little bit more bullish than bearish based off the market trends. And I just wanted to put this all out there for everyone. With that said, thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.